Salutations, Gertz. It is 12:42 in the morning. I'm a bit tired, but the grind never sleeps. I sleep, but the grind doesn't. So this week we're looking at contracts. Week 2, we're looking at offer and acceptance analysis. So there are 3 parts of a contract, as we know. There's the offer, consideration, and acceptance. We're looking at consideration next week. This week we're looking at offer and acceptance. So the offer, if we remember from the last video, or the last week, is a statement where the maker of the statement intends to be bound, contains promissory intent, essential terms, and not be ambiguous. So, if I make an offer, it can be removed, terminated for 4 reasons. First being a lapse of time. So either I can specify this offer is open for 6 days, and after 6 days it's done. Or a reasonable person can determine whether enough time has been lapsed. That's an objective test found in court. Rejection. So if I offer someone this tape for $5 and they say no, then the offer's cancelled. Revocation. So if I decide to just get rid of the offer. A failed condition. Let's say I'm selling you this piece of tape, this piece of brown tape, and then I wake up tomorrow and the tape is clear, for example. Well, now I'm no longer selling brown tape, so the offer is gone, and I have to create a new offer. Or the death of the party. So if I die or you die, then the offer is off the table. So under rejection, just a quick note here, counter offer is deemed a rejection of the offer. So if I offer to sell you this roll of tape again for $5 and you say, I will buy it for $4, well, what you've actually done is you've cancelled out my offer and you've created your offer. So my offer no longer exists because you rejected it. Hide view wrench is the proof of that. Revocation. So revocation is where you take back the offer. I don't want to be bound to it anymore. And this offers can't be revoked unless the acceptor is told before the acceptance. Pretty self-explanatory right there. An option allows the buyer the chance to buy at a certain time and or at a certain place, though its irrevocability must be determined by a court. Generally, though, if I say, mate, I will leave this option open to you to buy this piece of tape, this roll of tape right here, I will let you consider buying this tape for $5 for the next 7 days. If I'm being that explicit, generally I need to hold to it. I'm pretty sure that's correct. But yeah, there's always a question of wording. So for example, we looked at one example in class. We applied it to international contract law, which is a bit different. But basically, the scenario was this lady offered to sell this guy a car for a certain amount of money, and then he said, I need to think about it. She said, no worries, I'll give you 7 days. He calls back 5 days later, and then she says, oh, I'm sorry, I've faced financial hardships. I've had to sell the car. And so the question is, she said that she would wait. Does that mean that she promised to hold the car? Does that mean the guy's entitled to the car? That sort of thing. So that's our little scenario we're going to look at. So can that be revoked? That's something that has to be determined by the court. That was there. Hold on. Yeah, so we've got that. Communication is key. No communication means no contract. So if I tell my bank to tell you that I accept an offer, then the bank counts as a reliable third party under Dickinson versus Dodds, and it counts as acceptance. No communication means no contract. So I can't remember exactly what happened in this particular scenario. That's right. The judge stated in this scenario that if I'm trying to accept an offer halfway through a phone call, and then the phone line dies, before I can accept the offer, then I did not accept the offer and there is no contract. Yeah, we got that. Did we discuss the postal acceptance rule yet? No, we haven't. So we'll look at the postal acceptance rule in a second. So the acceptor must know about the offer's existence and agree wholeheartedly to it. So R.V. Clark is a case in which it was a unilateral offer, if you remember. That's when one person makes a general statement to the public, and by doing an act, you agree to the contract. So a unilateral offer saying, if you guys find the murder is in some crime, then we will pay you £100 or however, or whatever. Now Clark was one of the murderers. He went in and then spilled the beans on all his other murderer friends, and then he found out about this deal, and then he said, great, now I'm entitled to the £100, right? Turns out it wasn't, because he didn't know that the contract existed. Yeah, acceptance can either be expressed or implied by conduct. So, if I offer, I'm pretty sure this is how it goes. If I offer to sell you this notepad for $5, and then you take the notepad out of my hand and start giving me $5, right? You didn't accept it per se, but like everything that you were doing is indicating that you would. So we got that. Yeah, that being said, it must be communicated, it must be obvious, so I must know that you're doing it. Unless in unilateral offers, obviously, as I was saying, where the action is the acceptance. So, you know, I put up a poster saying $100 for my dog, you bring me the dog, great, you didn't communicate, but you have my dog, it's in front of me. So that constitutes acceptance. Terms of acceptance must be followed if they exist. If I tell you, you must accept my contract by with a signature. If you don't give me a signature, you didn't accept the contract. The postal acceptance rule. Now this is a really, really interesting loophole. This would be, if I had to write a legal movie, I would throw in the postal acceptance rule, because it's kind of interesting. As v. Lindsay, basically, if you make an offer and you didn't do a term of acceptance, and I were to accept your offer for whatever, and I write a letter, send it through the mail, right? As soon as it goes to the post office, I've accepted the offer. So as soon as I've paid for it and it's in the postal system, then I've accepted the offer, even if you don't know about it. This only applies in the case of post. So any other way, so for example, if I message you, then as soon as you see the message, that's when the contract happens. If I call you, as soon as you hear that I've accepted your offer, then the contract is in form. It's only the postal acceptance rule where I can accept it without you knowing that I've accepted it. I don't really know why this is the case. It can be rebutted if you simply put in the contract, accept is on receipt. So when I receive the letter, then that's accepted. Or if you just throw in the term of acceptance, but yeah, that exists as a standard. Date and place are important. A contract becomes a contract on the date and place where the offeror sees the acceptance, except the postal acceptance rule, as I was saying. That being said, if I send a letter to you saying, yes, I accept your offer, and then I change my mind and I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to do that, and then I call you and I say, mate, I reject your offer, then seeing as though my call was quicker than the post, the rejection goes through. So we've got that. Alternative methods. So if there's a conflict of forms, I don't know, I can't really give an example just because I haven't ever seen this in my life. But basically if we've got, if offer and acceptance analysis just can't work, then let's say we've got two versions of very similar contracts with slight differences. One of three tests is used for the last shot approach, which is that whichever document was signed last wins. How long have I been going for? 8 minutes. Yeah, not bad. High status approach. So if I send you a text and you send me a letter, a legal letter, let's say, then the legal letter will take precedent. Or the global approach, which is an objective reasonable person test, which will usually result in a compromise. So last statement, best looking, compromise. Those are the kind of three approaches. Yeah, so international law. Under the CISG, again offer acceptance, unneeded. Now these are both determined by an objective reasonable person test, see Article 8. What I will do, I will summarize the CISG into a little document. It'll probably take up 1 page. In my exam I'm allowed to take 10 double-sided pages in, so it should be fine on that. Yeah, 17, 18 on acceptance. It echoes some things pretty similar to these things up here. I don't remember exactly what they were, but I remember they were so obvious that I didn't feel the need to write them down specifically. There's no postal rule. The postal rule is kind of seems to be just an Australian and British thing, though I don't know, and I'm not really bothered to look into other nations' laws because I don't have to. Yeah, explicit terms must correspond. This is another thing. Acceptance is final. So when you accept, you agree that there is no more negotiation. The term is unequivocal. I didn't write that in. Hold on. Let me just find where it says that. Acceptance. Where is it? Must be unequivocal. Oh, we can fill with now here. Must be unequivocal, meaning there is no more negotiation. Okay, check this out. I'm just going to fix something real quick. So on my PC here, I got these here. I'm not sure if you can see that. My little RGB setup. And I've got OpenRGB on my PC. Bang, right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this to, I've got different modes for different things. I'm going to change it to my contract setting. Yeah, just like that. See, it's black and white. If I don't feel like doing that, then I can go to, let's say, media theory. This is my media subject that I don't make videos on because I don't really feel like it. And now it's pink and yellow. So anyway, we're going to do contracts. And my headspace is just going to feel a little bit better. Alright, thank you for allowing me to do that. Now I've got LED strips that were lighting my face, so I'm just going to turn those on as well. Apologies gang, give me one sec. Seen a bit of behind the scenes on my little setup. Bang, there we go. Is that where I was before? I don't know. Oh, anyway, my face seems to... Oh, hold on. No, maybe it was more like that. Oh, I don't think it matters. You can still hear my voice. Yeah, we'll get rid of this. So, acceptance must be unequivocal. So, I agree to your terms, you agree to my terms, and we have no further negotiation. That's what that means. Yeah, and that's how it is in under 19. So the terms that you sign to are the exact terms with no more negotiation. Non-material terms. Oh, just because it's bugging me a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That's how it was. Non-material terms. So again, I don't really see too many examples of this. But if I say I will buy this thing from a guy in China, and the guy in China says, okay, yes, I will sell it to you, and you know we signed a contract on that, and we didn't determine things like where it's going to be delivered, or what are some other examples? Yeah, things like where it's going to be delivered, how it's going to be delivered, which service I'll use to deliver it, all that kind of stuff. These are all non-material terms that are not written, and they don't terminate a contract unless the offerer objects. So yeah, we've got stuff like that. We're talking about alternative methods to offer acceptance analysis. Here, scholars generally agree that a knockout approach is best in conflicts, which is basically if you've got a contract and I've got a contract, the conflicting terms simply just cancel each other out, and neither of them exist. So yeah, we got that. Electronic contracts, we can actually delete this. So when you go online, there's a couple ways that you can accept contracts. The first is click wrap. Check the T's and C's to continue, you do that. Browse wrap, so if I'm online shopping and I click to buy something, then by clicking that I agree to T's and C's. So it might not be the main thing that I'm doing, signing the contract, but it is something that I do as I'm doing something else. And an automated response is when two algorithms make and sign their own contracts. I imagine ChatGPT does this a lot, but I am not ChatGPT, so I can't say for certain. That's all I got, really. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, good for you. I've managed to distill maybe 4 hours worth of content in how many minutes? 14. So good for me. All right. Yeah, I'll need to touch this up a bit more, and I will compile that little list of CISG things, maybe put it in its own video. But thank you for watching.